where was the turning point for me, and then how did I get in the current track that I'm on?
Yeah, there you go.
You know, we'll call it the health space, the brain health space. So my boy Jace, man, he went through like a half a dozen surgeries. It was just a brutal time. So I'm going through all the things that we were dealing with, that I was dealing with specifically. I'm on my way out the door. So I have a complete loss of identity. I just thought life was over. What am I supposed to do when I was meant to do this? You know, I'm meant to lead men in battle. That's it. There's no other use for me. You know, that's how I was looking at it at the time. And, you know, I'm losing my cognitive abilities. I have no control over my emotions. And, you know, I'm in physical pain nonstop, no different than anybody else. And, but everything I felt was being ripped from me. I thought I was being treated unfairly. To throw, you know, gas on the fire, my boy's been put through the ringer. Everything we talked about, I could deal with personally. Watching your own child suffer and having them not know why, there's nothing worse than that. And so it was at his last major surgery. He's in a children's hospital. He's in the ICU. And I'm in there. And I just popped the last Dilaudid that I ever took, and I followed it with the airplane bottle of whiskey. And I had this like epiphany, this clarity of mind as I'm looking down at him. And I realized in that moment that I was of no value to him or my family in the condition that I was in. And if I continued on that same track, you know, it was going to kill me. But worse than that, man, it was going to ruin the things that I said that I loved in my life. So right then and there at Jace's bedside, as true as I'm standing here, I promised my boy and myself 3 things. Number 1, I was going to return to the man of my pre-injury status. Number 2, I was going to find a way to come off all the medication that I was told I would have to be on for the rest of my life. And at that point, I didn't care what mountain I had to climb, what wall I had to go over, how much money it cost, what anybody said about it, just irrelevant. Those 2 things, non-negotiable. And the third one was, after I accomplished number 1 and number 2, I was going to turn around and spend the rest of my life helping out other people just like myself in similar situations like my family was in, to get through it and get on the other side. And those 3 took me from one line of time, and it put me in a new line of time. And I had a new purpose. And even though none of my problems were fixed, I had a compass, and I had a direction, and I had a destination. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I was moving. And I was moving that way. And that was enough to pull me from one area into another. And that's when I went all over the country, every brain treatment center there was. If they would have said sleep with the rattlesnake, I would have slept with the rattlesnake. Didn't matter to me. You know what I mean? And find things that worked. And so that was the path that put me out there. And it literally bankrupted my wife and I, because we had to pay for all that out of pocket. I had to take leave to go and get medical help because they wouldn't support it. And it was the best decision that we ever made. You know what I mean? Absolute best decision that we've ever made. And I've come full circle, and we're blessed beyond compare now. But at the time, you know, it was just, again, I didn't care what we had to do. And she was in it with me 100%. And when we moved out, I spent some time at Carrick Brain Center. They did a write-up on that. Dr. Gordon read it. He's a neuroendocrinologist out of LA. And he got in touch with me, and he said, listen, man, here's my credentials. Here's what we've been doing for the last 9 years. We have a incredible track record of being able to identify and treat the symptoms of traumatic brain injury. And he sent me a couple of podcasts to listen to that he had been on. And at that time, I didn't even know what a podcast was. It sounded like some space word. I'm like, what the fuck's a podcast? Okay, I'll listen to it. And I listened to it, and I listened to him talk, and I listened to some of the people that he had on, and he explaining all the problems that I'm currently living. It's another military guy. And then Mark saying, hey, we can identify all that's going on in the brain in real time, and we can identify the underlying condition, and then we can work on correcting that underlying condition. And when you do that, you give somebody the ability to heal.
This is the Team Never Quit Podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.